joining us right now on the Harbor One hotline. It is my pleasure to welcome back to the show Wyc Grousbeck, the owner of the Boston Celtics. Hello, Wyc.
Hey, man, I like the Stones Heartbreaker lead-in. That's walk-in music, if I've ever heard it.
Well, you are arguably, I think, when it comes to NBA owners, the greatest drummer among them, I would assume.
Well, thank you. And I'm co-owner of the Celtics, but I'm glad to be where I am, and glad the Celtics played well first 2/3 of the season. We got more to go, but This is fun.
I wanted to start with real quick with Kendrick Perkins, who we were just listening to some audio from him during the 7 o'clock hour. His feelings are hurt. He was not, and I know you could probably help him. I'm going to play this audio for you, and then we'll see if you can help Perk feel better. Here's what Perk said.
The invite, I didn't receive the email, okay, that everybody else got. I didn't get the email at the beginning of the season. You know what I'm saying? I kind of felt my feelings because I do have a great relationship with my guy, Wyc Grousbeck, who's the owner of the Boston Celtics. He actually came to my wedding. I saw him about 7 months ago when I dropped my book. He came to, my book release that I did in New York. Like, he's a great brother, a great friend of mine. And me and him always go back and forth on text message, because he may not like some of the things I say, but that's the relationship that we have. But I didn't get the invite, and I must say, I was in my feelings about that.
All right, Wyc. So Joe Muscala reached out to some of the Celtics greats and not Perk. Can you fix that for him?
No, I'm sure that's not true. First of all, Perk, how can you not invite Perk when he's here all the time or always talking about it? He was a huge part of the 2008 team and the whole run. He's one of everybody's favorite people around here, and he's making a living saying outrageous things, and good for him. We love Perk no matter what he says, and I'm sure he was invited, but if not, let me just for the record say you're invited, Perk.
Okay, all right, good.
Tell him to check his spam email. Maybe it's in there.
And do you remember what you got Perk as a wedding gift by any chance?
No, but if I did, I probably wouldn't tell you, but it was it's all in good fun with Perk, and he and Vanity are the best, and they're the whole thing is the whole Perk show. He'd love to be KG, and have that kind of edge. He's just different. He's Perk, and he's his own man, and it's great watching him and listening to him. I love the guy.
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting that Joe Muscala did reach out to Paul Pierce, some of those guys, and say, we want you around the team this year. And Joe Muscala got his 100th win on Wednesday night. Derek White said afterwards that he loves playing for him. What have you seen from Joe Muscala so far this season that you may not have seen last year?
Well, let me just talk about this. Just talk about the whole Joe Muscala thing and not really compare the seasons. I mean, I think I think he was made for the job, and he's grown in the job. But to get 100 wins and I think 37 losses, that's a great start. He's had a lot of talented players, but he's energized them, I think, and he's given them direction and confidence. And he's really like a teammate. He's right there with them, emotional and letting the refs know, what he sees, and just bringing the fire. I mean, I was watching a replay the other night of one of the games, and Scal said, Joe's a savage. He started, looked like he was intentionally fouling a couple of the opponent's players, so they would have to go make some free throws, and it was in the first half. It's like that's just savage, and that's actually kind of that kind of intensity. It rubs off on everybody else, and I love seeing that intensity partway through the season in February. That's a good time to have intensity. Then it naturally builds from here. So long answer, but I think Joe just brings a lot of knowledge. And when you see his X's and O's and you hear him in the huddles, because I'm sitting right there, you hear him just, laying it out for everybody in detail. You can get a lot of confidence, and I have a lot of confidence.
Wyc, I've been a massive Jayson Tatum supporter since he arrived in Boston. And this has been kind of going around, especially now, like right at the All-Star break, that he is being unfairly judged, and I know it's a team sport, but when it comes to the MVP race and kind of where he stands, he's the best player on the best team in the NBA. And when you see him night in and night out and maybe behind the scenes, do you feel the same way as the owner of this team and watching him play, that sometimes because of maybe not having great success in a championship series, where he's unfairly judged when it comes to being viewed as the best player in the league?
Yeah. I just don't have a lot of, I don't know how to say this exactly, but I don't have a lot of time or energy for this debate right this minute in February. I think that the key to this team is teamwork, like you said, and getting to, deep in the playoffs and seeing how far we can go. That's what everybody's focused on this year. And because Jayson's been focused on that, and Jaylen and Drew and Kristaps, and D. White, it's been a really good year so far. We're top of the league right now. And so that's where we are. That's where our heads are at. That's where our heads are, and we want to take it all the way. So that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about individual awards. And so there's noise out in the world, and let them talk.
Speaking of Porzingis, must have made you happy to hear him say this week that things here are done differently and at a much higher level than by many other teams in the NBA.
Yeah, I really love that, and I love that whole. His whole vibe. I've like everybody now has noticed, he has not stopped smiling since he's been here. And then anytime he's like twists an ankle or something, I look over at him and he's winking to people and smiling. He's like, "I'll be okay." It's just he is just like the happiest 7'5" guy on the planet, or maybe the happiest guy on the planet. So he is. He's something else. We're so glad he's here, and he's obviously glad to be here. And it takes a lot of pressure off the rest of the team when he's making threes, unguardable threes,
yeah,
and then driving in and dunking the ball on pick and rolls. He's been a great addition. Credit to Brad for seeing that possibility.
Wyc, obviously All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis this starting tonight at the Conseco Fieldhouse. Boston hasn't had the All-Star game since I think Bill Russell was playing. Why not? And is there any chance that you guys are trying to lobby to get the All-Star game here back in Boston?
Yeah, well, the guy to ask is Gary Washburn. He's always he's highlighted this issue, and we have taken steps, and we're in process. And there's nothing to announce right now, but there's when we say we're going to try to do something, we try to do it, and we'll keep you posted.
Ooh, okay.
2026.
All right. Can we have that announcement? Can we have that announcement first on this show, Wyc, please?
No, I don't know when it's going to be. By the way, the Gainbridge Fieldhouse. I'll be there tonight, or I guess tomorrow. But apparently, it's the Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Just FYI, I just looked up. We have to take care of our in this league.
Yeah, you gotta get the sponsors in there. I saw the debut of what the LED glass floor will look like tonight and tomorrow. What happens if the NBA comes and says you got to put that over the parquet? The parquet will never go away. I'm assuming.
I have no idea. I haven't seen. I saw a little YouTube clip of the floor, and look, we're trying to play a game that was invented in whenever it was, the 1920s or something, and it's now 100 years later, and it may change over time, but I hope the parquet will always be the parquet.
Wyc, when it comes to Jaylen Brown this weekend in the dunk competition, I brought up the fact that it worries me a little bit. I know nobody's ever gotten hurt before participating in it, but when you've got a star player like that, things can happen. And I know that Muscala has come out and said that it takes a toll on your body. Where do you fall on that when it's one of your star players wanting to bring the big names back to the dunk competition? And why do you think that the star players in the league have gone away from participating in it?
That's a great question. It's just funny. Was Muscala actually commenting on the dunk competition? I guess he probably can dunk, but he was definitely not invited to the competition. Let's just start with that right now. But Jaylen's played the best basketball of his life right now, or that I've definitely seen. He's had an unbelievable year. If he's going to get some energy from being in the dunk contest, and I hope that goes smoothly, but there's a lot that goes on in every game that is basically dangerous, and we just have our fingers crossed throughout. But I will look forward to seeing him compete in the dunk contest and hope he wins it.
Yeah, Wyc, I'm hoping the NBA kind of does what the rest of the league does and allows only the All-Stars to participate in those things, so you can get, the great players, the all-star players competing in some of those things, so we could get back to watching it. I grew up watching Dominique Wilkins go against Michael Jordan, 2 all-stars, and now you got some guy from the G League winning it.
Well, I'd watch those guys today do it, and I'm sure they both can dunk at this point, but I don't know. Let me say, Wiggy, last year Mac McClung won it, okay? Yeah. And he was not even, he was on a roster, then he was off a roster, I think. He was not an all-star, but he won the dunk competition. He's like 5 foot something, and it was actually the best one I remember since Aaron Gordon went in that battle a few years back. So, got to say, let's just see what happens. We keep trying to evolve the All-Star game. We try to make sure it's, at least we have one. The Pro Bowl is kind of, I don't know, I don't want to take shots.
It's a joke. You can say it.
But we have an all-star game that goes global, and it's an unbelievable thing. But we got to keep tweaking it to make sure the quality of play is there and the excitement is there. And the dunk contest is one of the highlights.
Does somebody like Joe Muscala like the rule that you can't coach back-to-back years? Maybe because he gets the time off, but it seems to me like Joe Muscala should have earned that honor for this weekend when it comes to this.
I guess Joe, I have not asked Joe about that, but I guess having Doc Rivers coach it, I think it is. Having Doc back in the All-Star game is fine. I don't think Joe minds at all. I'm sure what he's not doing is sitting on a beach. I'm sure he's like working on film or something, but I'm not sure what he thinks about it, except I don't think he's really in it for individual accolades. He just wants to take the team as far as we can go. I really do believe that.
Have you been texting with Doc? Did you send him a troll text or anything?
I love Doc. I got a reference call on Doc from the Bucks, and I said we would. Truthfully, I made a truthful statement, of course, but I said we would not have won it in 2008 without Doc. He took that team, molded it together, and led the way. He had a ton to do with the championship, and he's always going to be, very special friend of mine.
And Wyc, just on that topic, who was the reference that sold you on Mazzulla?
Brad Stevens. When Brad became general manager or president of basketball, which I really wanted, and I didn't have to talk him into it, but I suggested it to him, and he thought about it overnight, and then accepted the next morning. That was a little bit out of the blue for both of us, but it was an instinctive move on my part, and I'm glad that he did it. Obviously, he took us to the finals the very first year. But then we had to figure out who the coach would be, and at a different time. It actually came later. But under pressure, right before the season, and he said, "Look, I'm very confident that it's Joe." And I knew of Joe, and I had had dinner with Joe. In fact, a few months before, I got to know him a bit. I really was taken by his style and energy and just everything about him. He's just intense and really driven and passionate. I really felt like he could be a really inspirational coach. That was when he was an assistant, and then when Brad, who really knew him, which I didn't, made a very strong recommendation. He felt it was Joe. I went with it. So give Brad the credit.
The Patriots now have the Dynasty docuseries, which dropped at midnight on Apple Plus. Red Sox will be featured in a Netflix series this upcoming season. Has there been any interest in doing that with the Celtics, and is that something that you would embrace?
It's almost like I planted that question. Next, you're going to ask about extended family on NBC, but feel free. We were the number 2 show of all shows on Tuesday night.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic. Way to go, Wyc.
Since you didn't ask, I'm going to answer anyway. But in terms of the Celtics, I have some good positive news there. Nothing to officially report yet, but we are in production on a multi-part, absolutely top quality, fantastic documentary series on along the lines of hopefully The Last Dance and so on. Ooh. And we are deep into that. We've signed contracts. Film is being filmed and archives are being gone through, and it's in process.
Wow.
Really exciting. Can't wait for it. And they're following the team. They're following the team this whole year, so it's like behind the scenes. So we'll see what happens. But win or lose, it'll be out.
Awesome.
Well, I didn't get the call for the Patriots one, and I seen Bill Burr did. I'm a bit
You
of
wanna be
diehard Celtics fan.
True.
Wick, can you wedge Wiggy in there
I mean,
somehow?
I feel like we've seen enough of Donnie Wahlberg.
That's a big wedge.
Wiki, it sounds like you and Perk are right on the cut line. We'll see which one.
I mean, damn, how many more times we gonna see Donnie do all this stuff? I mean, there's other Celtics fans out here with.
Well, listen, heading into the All-Star break as a really, really good basketball team, and I hope you enjoy yourself this weekend. I appreciate you taking the time with us this morning, Wick.
You guys are great. I love doing this, and win or lose, I'll always come on and talk straight about it. But right now, they're playing at a high level. They're excited. They're getting a little break now, taking a rest, and we'll see what happens the last part of the season. Exciting. Thanks, everybody.
Been a while since you and I have been at a game together.
Well, I was in Brooklyn, and then I was in Boston. I should have thought to call you. I apologize for that, but we will make it up. I'll make it up to you.
I will. Yeah, I'll make myself available. I do have a busy schedule, but for you, I will make myself available. All right, you're the best. Thank you, Wick.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right, there he is.